YouTube live. So in this live, we're going to go into the heart presence, connecting with God source, divine presence, and then connecting to our higher selves, only source aligned. And then we're kind of setting, not kind of, we are setting an intention for the deepest healing and the deepest clearing from source. And then setting our intention is really important for any type of energy work, because your higher self needs to know what you want cleared and healed. And consent, except for everywhere, it seems, except for on 3D Earth, is actually sacred. So on 3D Earth, there's always they're kind of always trying to fudge consent, oh, the people knew, or everybody knows, they don't know, or you consented like 100 timelines ago. And then basically there's like so much trickery, and then you just basically have to see it, you have to name it, and then you have to revoke it, and then in your own name, and then asking your higher self to update your records that are only source aligned. And we're always looking for the deepest healing and the deepest clearing. And then the most powerful way to do that is actually with your higher self. Okay, so I can see there's already people joining on the chat. So thank you so much for joining. So Juanita is here from Oregon. Oh, hi. Hi, Juanita. Welcome. And Senija is here. Good morning, Elaine, and everyone watching. Hug emoji, hearts, and double pink hearts. Nice, beautiful. Thank you. I'll send you guys some love, and thank you for joining. Okay, so the transmission, there's always a transmission that comes through. And so what I was shown kind of like just early this morning is that so when you're awakening in consciousness, it's like these bells go off in like 3D and then 4D, especially. So 4D, 3D, you can think of like the archons, the reptilians, Draco reptilians, the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, the dark triad as the administrator. So they're there to make sure that, say you awaken and then, somebody really close to you kind of attacks you, and then you question yourself, and then you go back to sleep, basically. So that's kind of the routine. And they're basically rinse and repeat. So it's like do over, do over, do over, do over, right? And then especially if you are awakening a lot in consciousness and really awakening to who you are and who your higher self is, then you're going to have more interference. You're going to have more attacks, what I call psychic attacks. And so what I was shown is kind of like how they'll even attack. Say they can't attack you because you're constantly calling in your higher self, connecting to God's source, divine presence, right? The eternal living light of God, right? That God, not the false God. And then you're connecting to source, the all, and you're calling in your higher self, only source aligned, and you're calling in your guides, only source aligned. And so you're testing, what I call testing the compass, and the body is agreeing, saying yes, um, like you're getting feedback basically from your own body, like, yes, this is safe, no, this is not, check this, that kind of thing. And so what I was shown is then they'll also can like do attacks on like people that are close to you, but then you can name them also in source's name, and then say, so this is what I was shown. And then you basically explicitly say, I do not give consent to psychic attacks happening to those close to me. And inferred consent is not consent. And then I call in source, God source, divine presence, whichever word resonates for you. I call in God source, divine presence. If you're going to say God, I would say only source aligned, higher self, only source aligned, guides, only source aligned. And so you're calling in your guides of only source aligned, your higher self, only source aligned, and you state explicitly, I do not consent to these types of experiences in all realities, all timelines, all dimensions, all spaces. And I revoke inferred consent and I send this experience to source and I ask for source to step in and take over this experience. And then ask to have your records updated. So Anubis and Thoth are the two from the Egyptian expression that basically that is their job is doing the records. And I always say Anubis and Thoth only source aligned. And then make it explicit and then say, I want these records updated and then state what happened. I was in my, that I saw a close person that I'm close to being attacked, psychically attacked. I do not consent because I feel like the attack was meant for me, but then they can't attack me, so they're attacking somebody close to me. I do not consent. And then you want it updated in the records. And this is constant. Like 3D and 4D interference is constant until you are fully embodied. Like meaning there's no sneaky snakes. You're at 0 point neutral all the time. And then what I was shown was receiving like 3 yellow flowers by Miriam, only source aligned. So Mother Mary from the crucifixion timeline. So she's a seraphim. So it was like where they attacked. So what they're showing is where they attacked was the solar plexus, which is the power center, right? So, oh, okay, well, you think you have power. Well, we're going to attack somebody vulnerable close to you, and then we're going to see how you feel, And then I didn't go into revenge. I didn't go into attacks. I didn't go into trying to figure out what the psychopath is thinking. I didn't do any of that, or the narcissist, if you want to use a softer word. I didn't do any of that. Right away, I observed what happened. I stated what happened out loud. And because your voice has frequency, your voice has resonance. And then I revoked it. And then I asked source to come in and take over. And then I asked for my records to be updated because, you can be here on these lives and you can be asking me questions, right? But ultimately, you're here to have that dialogue and that communication with your higher self. Because there's, things that are going to happen in your dream state when you're very vulnerable. And so if you don't kind of become aware of this kind of way of claiming your energy and revoking inferred consent, then it's a learning process, right? So we just have to be really patient and not hard on ourselves. So, but it really showed me like the confirmation of receiving the flowers at the end showed me that it was received. I'm not just kind of like, out in the middle of the ocean, doing stuff, hoping that, it clears and hoping that the records update and hoping that my higher self is listening. Like, I'm not doing any of that, I'm stating it very clearly. And then I am asking source to step in. So, phew. Okay, so let's connect. There's some questions already in the chat. So let's connect to our hearts, going into the inner body, connecting to God, source, divine presence, connecting to our higher self, only source aligned. We're asking for the deepest healing and clearing available in all time, in all timelines, dimensions, spaces, and realities. And then the other thing I named is that I said is I am not of their realm, and this realm has no claim on who I am or what I am. Meaning I am not part of the 3D demiurge. I am part of my, not part, but I am heart-based, connected to source. Not kind of, I am. So just clearing the nervous system. So there's a lot happening energetically around because we're told, I know I feel like the bearer of bad news, but the portals that we're told are like openings and like, oh, they're great for manifesting. Like that's where the 4D really gets us, is they're like, oh, well, we can manifest anything you want. You know, you just have to sell your higher self or sell your soul or go to sleep, basically, so one of the reptilians can jump into your body and take over. You know, you can just drink a whole bunch of alcohol and then, so you dissociate. And that's basically the premise of 3D. And then I always say I am not of their realm, meaning I am not created in 3D. My emanation is from source as a heart-based being. Because empaths, you can't be an empath and a narcissist. They say, oh, there's dark empaths. Okay, what's a dark empath, right? Trauma bonded. So narcissists always want to be like, oh, but we're all alike. Everyone is a narcissist. It's like, no, no, not everyone is a narcissist. Okay. And then if that were true, and if that's how 3D would function, then why do they need, why do they attack light workers so much? Why do they attack sensitives and light workers and star seeds, black sheep? Like, why are they so targeted? Because they need our energy, because they don't emit source energy, consciousness. And this work is really to awaken your own consciousness in your own timing for yourself, And if you're around the dark triad, they're always going to say, that is so selfish. And it's because they're selfish, right? And so the trickery is always for you to abandon yourself, for you not to believe in yourself, and for you to dissociate and jump out of your body. Okay, so we're connected and we've set the intention for the live. So let's take a look. And the 3D material plane like relies on your forgetfulness, relies on you abandoning yourself, relies on you not trusting your own heart. And sometimes we're so dysregulated that it's like we have no idea. We feel like we're bananas. It's like, well, then we have to just first regulate our nervous system. Okay, so a lot of action in the chat. Okay, so hopefully, even while you're wanting your questions answered, you're actually, more importantly, as we're doing this together, it is a lot easier to do this together, is connecting to the heart and then connecting to the inner body. Okay, so connecting to our higher self, only source aligned, with the intention of the deepest healing and the deepest clearing. Okay. Let's take a look. Okay, so Senija has a question. Did the voodoo, Senija, she heard 1973, did the voodoo doll this morning at 2 a.m. Wow, you were up. I was awake. And we're in the same time zone, Senija and I. She's on the coast on the island, but we're on the same timeline. Wow. 2 a.m. and you're here. Thank you, Senija. Okay, what is the message from my higher self after doing this decree? Okay, that's a good question. So let's take a look at so the voodoo doll decree, if you haven't done it or haven't if you don't know that is. Okay, so it is part 21. So it's 21 decrees. So the voodoo doll decree came to me. I was shown that the Roman Empire, they did these voodoo doll decrees to kind of for control. And so there's 1,500 of them that have been found in the archives, and they are in the Louvre Museum. And it's called like a defixio. So it's like a spell. And so what is the spell for? Well, it's always for lying, cheating, stealing. It's always for control. And so one of the spells that were found was this man wanted this woman. She didn't want him. And so he did a spell. And then the other thing they do spells for, of course, is for money. So property, trying to cheat people out of property, control, and money. Right? So same rinse and repeat for 3D. And so when I did the decree, because I usually it comes to me and then I write it and then I do it and then I film it and then I publish it. So every decree, well, and I've even done even more decrees than what I've published so far, because I always test everything way before I talk about it in public or publish it in public. Okay, so and then these decrees have been found. Like it's incredible. Like 1,500 have been found so far. And they're like in really good condition. And it's literally a little doll that has like 13 metal rods, like through the eyes, through the throat. And that's why we're always claiming our throat in Source's name, our eyes in Source's name. Like the body decree was one of the first decrees, I think, at the very beginning, part 6, where we're claiming our bodies in Source's name. So that's the Voodoo Doll Spells decree, and I think I had over 1,000 spells in my name. So I'm because it just because if we don't clear it, we don't even know to clear it. But I'm always shown, by my higher self or source, what needs to get cleared. And so, as like a light worker, it's like, once it becomes important for me and then it becomes important for others. And so then as soon as I did it, then one of the young women that I work with, like she contacted me right away, and then she did it, and then she had many, not as many in her name as I did, but she had like a lot. So then we were like, okay, that we're onto something, right? That this is something that needs to be cleared. That's kind of how it works. Okay, so for Senija, 1973, she did the Voodoo Doll Spells decree. Because there's many spells, not usually one spell, there's many spells. Okay. Um, okay, so going into 0 point, Senija, 1973. Yeah, they're saying you had over 500 spells in your name. They're cleared. They're cleared. They're like, it created like a kink in her neck. Like it created like a tension in your neck. That's kind of how the body was trying to, whoops, sorry if I bumped my microphone. That's kind of how the body, it's kind of like how the body was trying to show you that there's something there. There's something. It was like they said it. It was like what the body showed was there was a kink in the neck. So we're just clearing it on the right side, which would be the divine feminine side. So yeah, that clear. So it would be a huge clearing, right? In all time spaces. So timelines, dimensions, realities, and spaces. So they're like, you just cleared a lot, you know, out of your hair. Over 500, they're saying. There was over 500. But more importantly, it was like affecting like the body was giving the message in this life for it to be cleared. And then you basically, how I see it is Senija received the call and she did the clearing. So, whew, boy, busy. It's very busy. Energy work is very busy. Yeah, so your higher self is the message from your higher self says that it was a purification. And it's like even reducing it to the most simple is so important. Like the decree is so simple, but the but it goes to the depth of the purification that needs to happen. So what they're showing is kind of like all of this light or water kind of like purified you. So just receiving some hearts. I'm guessing from Senija. Thank you, Senija. So yeah, they're just showing like a purific. It's showing that it was a purification. And then in its simplicity, it actually hits the mark. Yeah. I'm just sending lots of love. So good job, Senija. That's amazing. Okay, let me just see. Senija said, after I burned the decree, I was washing the cheap stainless steel salad bowl that had stains from previous burned decrees. And this time, all stains washed it as new. Wow, that literally is a purification. Like you actually, that's amazing, Senija. Like that's amazing. Like that is actually showing a purification literally happened even for your bowl. Wow. 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 I'm gonna send some celebration. That's amazing. That's so cool. That is amazing, Sunija. That is so cool. Thank you for, thanks for letting me know. That is amazing. So sending, and then some celebration emojis and hearts are being sent back. Thank you. So Senija said, after I burned the decree, I was washing the cheap stainless steel salad bowl that had all the stains from previous burned decrees. And this time all, and she wrote in capital letters, ALL, stains washed as new. And then Senija said, what does that mean? Um, and I would say that that is literally the bowl is your higher self is showing you that a purification happened. Um, and then Sunija asks, can you please ask my higher self to check and clear my lower chakras? I feel a vibe there. Okay. And then um and then Sunija said, doing this voodoo doll decree, did I help clear ancestral curses as well? Okay, so a couple of questions added to that. So we're gonna check in. So Senija asks, could you please ask my higher self to check and clear my lower chakras? I feel a vibe there. Okay. Um, okay, so just going back into 0 point, source consciousness, connecting. So we're asking for the deepest healing and the deepest clearing for Senija, right to the root cause, right to the very first incarnation. We're wanting to make sure the purification and alignment happens with all the energy centers. Yeah, they're saying the second energy center. So what is typically called the sacral, the orange, where relationships and connections, emotions are stored. They're saying that that was plugged up, or, well, that's the word they use, plugged up. It's like, why change it? Why try to use a different word? And they're just saying that the purification happened and it's like an unwinding. So it's like with a plug, it would have been like you would have felt like a stop start, a stop start, a stop start, a stop start. And then now it's like the spiral is happening naturally as it's meant to, which is like a spiral upwards, right? So in this work, we're going in the vertical, and then Earth, 3D Earth and 4D is like the horizontal, right? But we're connecting with 5D, which is heart-based consciousness. So we're going up and then source, right? To source. So let's see if there's any more information that you need for the sacral. It kind of made you feel kind of nauseous. They're saying that it made you feel kind of like icky, like an ick, like a yuck. Like there was, it was connected to obedience. Like you have to obey, and that somebody has power over you to make you obey. And so the voodoo doll decree spells, the spells in essence were to make people obey against their own heart, against their own will. Like the example of one of the spells that were found was this man that, you know, she didn't love him. And so he made her not be able to see any other men, basically feel sick if any other man was around her, you know, so they really trick you. And I would say that, you know, the dark triad, like if you have the dark triad are always like, say there's a really good person that comes forward, but you're really like pick on that person. But like the psychopath, you give like a million chances to. It's kind of like that. You know, they make you have those rose-colored glasses for the dark triad. And then other heart-centered empaths, light workers, star seeds, you don't find them appealing. And that's kind of the trickery of 3D. And then that would be the trickery of the spells. The spells, you were going against your own heart, but it created like an interference. And so, but it's been purified, your heart, and then your sacral. So the second energy center that is organ, that is orange. Yes. I was gonna say organ, and then I thought, why did I almost say organ? But maybe they're saying, well, it's connected to the organs in that area. So 2 inches below the belly button. So they're just clearing, doing some more clearing. They're saying you'll feel a lot better. It's having something to drink. You'll be happy to know, Senija, that I am drinking fresh pressed celery and green vegetables. Sunija's really good at all of that health stuff. Okay. So for that, they're saying the lower chakra, it was the sacral, the second one, 2 inches below the belly button, and it has been cleared. And what was cleared is obedience. So thank goodness, right? Celebration, yeah. All of a sudden, lots of hearts to that too. So just got some hearts and celebration emojis sent. Thank you. Yeah, so obedience has been cleared. And that's what's so powerful with energy work. It seems so simple, but really so powerful, right? So if there was over 500 spells for Senija that were in her name in all time, because we're working, you know, seer work is all timelines, all dimensions, is multidimensional, multi-timeline, multi-spaces, and multi-realities, right? Because we're always wanting the deepest healing and the deepest clearing to the root cause, but you're doing it, your higher self, you know, your higher self and source. And when I'm here, like you know, like essentially like a guinea pig. So for me, it has to happen to me first, and then I have to speak about it. And then it's like kind of that is how you're a light worker, you know. But if this didn't happen to me and I didn't go through the awakening process twice, then you know, I came here to remember. And so if I if I didn't actually do it and I was just talking about it, you know, it wouldn't have resonance. You know, you wouldn't feel it in your body. I'd just be like a mimic, you know, talking, you know, a 3D mimic. Do, 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 you know. Okay, so that should feel a lot better. The nausea feeling, nauseous kind of feeling, the nausea is lifting and clearing. And they're saying what you're going to see, Senija, is kind of like more spaciousness inside of you. It's like if the trees, there's a lot of trees and they're very thick, they're saying like there's going to be like holes, like spaciousness, like in between. It's not going to be, you're not going to feel so hemmed in. Okay. Um, and then Sinija's other question with the voodoo doll spells decree is doing this voodoo doll spells. It's actually, I just added that. Senija didn't write that, but spells decree, because there's more than one spell usually. And then did I help clear ancestral curses as well? Let's take a look. So let's go into 0 point, connecting to Senija's heart self, connecting to source consciousness. Well, they're saying it cleared ancestors that were not for your highest and greatest good. So I call those like imposters or like thieves, because if they're not for your highest and greatest good, um, then they're like thieves, they're imposters, because they can't just jump into your timeline and say like they spent their whole timeline lying, cheating, and stealing, and then being with the dark triad, and then they can't be like, oh shoot, I had my chance to clear that up and I didn't, and then you're here on earth in a 3D body, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to come in to Sneech's body. Well, it's like, it sounds dramatic, but it's energy work. But and then they're like here and they're influencing you. So then you're like, is that my voice? Is that my higher self? But that's why we always say higher self only source aligned, because only source aligned would be for your highest and greatest good. And if it's not for your highest and greatest good, then we're saying, no, you do not have my consent. Phew. And then we just send them all back. Just send them all back in whatever timeline they are. And, they'll find their way, but they're not going to do it through Sanija's body, because all it's going to do is they can't actually activate or change that timeline. And all it will do is drain, all it does is drain you and confuse you in this timeline. So that's why I call them tricksters. They're like ancestor tricksters, because they're not coming in for your highest and greatest good. They're coming in with manipulation. They're coming in with coercion. They're not coming in from a pure heart of service to source. And also to that whole thing about being able to steal light, you cannot steal light. Like the records I've been shown over and over again, even before I totally understood, is that you can't cheat, you can't lie, and you can't steal. Like, and you can't give away light. Like if I could have given away light, I would have given away light all my life, but you can't, And so it's like there's laws, source laws, universal laws that cannot be broken. And one of the main ones is consent, and the other one is light. You cannot steal light. Light is earned. And then energy you can siphon, but you can barely steal energy either. Like you can siphon energy, it can really deplete a light worker, but the person stealing the energy barely can receive any, because it depends on the frequency. Like right now, if you wanted to siphon my energy, you'd have to be 5D, heart-based. And then if you were, you wouldn't try to steal my energy, because you would know what that costs you. You'd have to make repairs and reprimands and. And so you wouldn't do that, because that the whole point of 5D is not lying, cheating, and stealing. So they're just saying, let's just quickly clear Senija's nervous system and the divine masculine on the left side. So that Senija has like a real understanding of kind of what she accomplished and what happened in in the Voodoo Doll Spells decree. So she can have like a real reset, like a real back alignment with herself and herself and source. Yes. So the answer is doing this Voodoo Doll Spells decree. Did it help Senija's ancestral curses as well? And the answer is yes. And it put them back in their place. Meaning like now they have to like abide to the rules, right? Because you're conscious. And so they have to actually, like, you see them and you're saying, like, no, inferred consent is not consent. I revoke all inferred consent. And then you send them packing, basically. But all they would be doing is like, like in your second chakra energy center, would be draining your energy. And so now that's been plugged, they've been ejected, and then they're in their own timeline. And then they have to find their, it's old school, but they have to find their own path without lying, cheating, and stealing. Whew. Good job, Senija. This is big. And then Senija says, just checking the chat. Senija says, thank you so much with lots of O's, so much Elaine, exclamation mark, many blessings to you and team, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. This was a good one, exclamation mark. Yeah, exactly. That's so cool, actually, that the messages come in and then you actually are writing it in the chat because that is, oh, it's interesting. What it says is the chat has been disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. And then it said successfully connected. Wow. So let's name the chat in Source's name. I've never had that happen. So it says chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. And then it says six, and it's red, and then it says successfully connected. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm going to send some hearts and then let me know if you're receiving the hearts. Wow. I still see it fine. Okay, thank you, Juanita. And then, yeah, totally weird. But weird things do happen, right? Because it's energy work. Okay, so let's finish up with Senija. So Senija sends lots of angels, lots of hugs, and yellow heart, pink hearts, double hearts, hearts on fire. So yeah, I think this is a big one, Senija. Like you went through the purification process and it was simple. The decree is simple, and then basically the ones that were dominating in your field have been ejected. And then now you have like an overall understanding of what you just went through at 2 a.m. So you haven't had much sleep. Senija, you're so brave. Okay, so let's close for Senija. Um, let's close for Senija. So we're bringing in Source's golden light. Good. Just aligning all of Senija's chakras, energy centers. And then having that overall understanding of everything that has been cleared in all timelines, dimensions, space, and realities. And then right to the root cause, and then right to the very first incarnation. So holding, 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 staying in that heart space, right in the heart to source. And then higher self, only source aligned. And then thanking all of Senija's team of guides of unconditional love and only source aligned that also have come forward for the deepest healing and the deepest clearing for Senija, and especially grateful to have cleared obedience from the second chakra energy center. Good. And then now Senija will be able to be like, there's going to be light coming through the trees. So she would have been very hemmed in. And then now there's like space and light. And then I'm seeing outside they're doing the yard work. So they're basically literally clearing up the trimming the trees. Trimming the trees and amazing. Okay, beautiful. Thanks, Senija. Good question. And thanks for doing the Voodoo Doll Spells decree and then saying what your experience and how it happened. It's really wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a look at the chat. Oh, interesting. When the chat disconnected, please wait while we try to reconnect you and then successfully connected. That message came in when Juanita left a message saying, not cool, stop those negative influences and block them from coming in anymore. And then that's when the chat got interfered with. So go, Juanita, go. That's funny. But it seems like it's working and Juanita says she can see fine. So that's great. Okay, so sending hearts. Thanks for the feedback and thanks for letting me know. Okay, so let's take a look at Juanita's question. Oh yeah, there was one message from Senija. She said, oh, from Senija, she said, I'm proud of you, Elaine, for juicing. Yeah, I think she's been juicing for like 7 years in the morning. So I am drinking my juice. I love vegetables and I love this juice. Okay. Yeah, so have something to drink because energy work, we are clearing more than we realize. Okay, so Juanita. Okay, so Juanita, 1981, she, her, thank you for putting that in. Thank you. In order to make life better financially, will I make any money if I do an art class at the community youth center or dog psychology class, sell items online? Okay, so let's take a look. And then Juanita says, anything not source aligned to be repelled away from me, and then me in capital letters. Yeah, good. And then this morning I had a dream about having very long hair to my knees. And then what does that mean? Okay, so, oh, that's Senija. Wait a second. Okay, so Senija, I missed that question, but I feel like we'll see if there's time for that. Sorry, I missed that. So Juanita says, okay, so staying on Juanita, wait, oh my goodness, Juanita. So staying with Juanita, 1981. In order to make life financially better, will I make any money if I do an art class at the community youth center or dog psychology class and then sell items online? And then Juanita says, anything not source aligned be repelled away from me. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the hearts. And then no sneaky snakes, no sneaky sneaky. Yeah, thank you, Juanita. Very good. And then Juanita, I'm heart aligned. And then, okay, so Juanita says, I wish angels and guides could protect us and clear us continuously. Yeah, that is a good question because Earth, 3D Earth, is free will to some extent. Like we can't just blow up the planet because we feel like it. Okay, there'll probably be intervention that will come in. But we have to, in order for awakening our consciousness, we have to awaken enough to ask. And asking also from the heart is humility, but the ego, the conscious mind, will battle us to not ask. We don't need it. There is no higher self. There is no source. There's nothing. There's nobody here to help you, right? That's the conscious mind. Okay, so that is an installation. And so we have to become aware of the installations in order to revoke inferred consent, in order to eject them. And the way of remaining conscious is by asking for help and then calling in our higher self, only source aligned, and then connecting to source. So it is a way of us awakening our consciousness. So like to call in protection, to ask for protection, and to ask to clear us. We are anchoring into the heart of God, source, divine presence. And it is a way of us awakening from the domination of the mind and the ego, which is essentially the controllers of 3D. That's how they work, through the mind and the ego. So that's that for that question. And then Juanita had sent hugs from before, but I think that was from Senija's question. Okay. Okay, so let's go back. It got very quiet all of a sudden, like a stillness. Okay, so let's look into Juanita 1981, she, her. And then to make a better life financially, will I make money if I do an art class at the community youth center or dog psychology class to sell items online? Okay. All right. So let's go into 0 point. So pure consciousness, pure source consciousness, connecting through the heart. Or Juanita 1981. So right away, they're just releasing tension in the neck on especially the left side, releasing tension in the left side. And they're just basically saying, if the tears come, just allow them to come. And they're just like, they're saying it's like a gridlock. So they're just going to release both the tensions in the neck and the shoulder. So the answers for seer work with your higher self and source and only source aligned, kind of the body needs, we kind of see what the body's holding, and then to make a pathway clear. So you can't manifest with a jammed up pathway or a blocked pathway. So we're just releasing right now. So we're just releasing the tension in the body, releasing what is not for your highest and greatest good, releasing. They're saying if it hurts and you do cry, they say it's okay. They're saying it's okay. It's like it's been there for a long time, this kind of gridlock. And so they're just releasing it right now. They're saying it's almost like there's all these energies, like almost like a whole school bus, like a whole bus of people that are interfering in your energy field, and your body is like, trying to protect you, so then your body tenses up. But they're saying like release the school bus, like release everybody in the school bus, like release, like this isn't about your course at the college, but this is just like energy, what is kind of interfering around you right now. So they're like, release everybody on that bus. because it's blocking your spontaneity. It's blocking your well, that's the word. I'm always like, they say the word and I'm always like, oh, what's the word? And they're like, it's blocking your spontaneity. It's blocking your spontaneity. So spontaneity is like you get a message from your higher self, and then you're like, okay, great. Okay, does that align with me? And then you go into action, right? So that whole bus of people, they were interfering with your spontaneity, with you being able to move forward in your life. We're just releasing them right now. Just releasing. It's allowing the body to release. And it kind of feels like sometimes these blockages and interference have been there for so long that when you start releasing them, you can feel kind of nauseous. It doesn't mean that something bad is happening. It means that your finally energy is coming into like a blocked area, which is like can kind of feel nauseous because it's been blocked, for so long. So they're just clearing the nervous system now. So we're clearing in all timelines, dimensions, space, and realities for Juanita, and just releasing the school bus. They're saying like releasing all the people on the bus. So that would have been like a whole bunch of energy and people or energy around you that would be like that would look like a whole bunch of people on a bus, and they're constantly interfering in your energy system. And so imagine having like a whole bus full of people constantly in your ears talking to you, right? You'd feel crazy. You'd feel overwhelmed. So, and they're saying it blocked your spontaneity. And they're saying like right now you can just kind of surrender, just surrender, like give permission to just surrender all the people on that bus that are interfering. They're basically like constantly in your ear, like just mimicking you. They're like repeating lies. They're like, you know, like you came here to remember who you are, and they're there to make sure you don't remember who you are. So they're like constant, and it's a whole bus full. And but you're out of the bus and they're on the bus, right? So that's why I know they're not in you, they're around you. Okay. So just getting posture, just helping the body just release. And then, spontaneity is so important because it's like, okay, say your higher self brings in a message, and then you have a whole busload of people say, well, I don't know, I don't think you should rush into whatever your higher self is saying. Like, I think, who is your higher self? That's the voice of the conscious mind. The conscious mind is the critic. The conscious mind is always making you choose, going in the loop and repeating, um, constantly repeating things that you didn't even like happening for the first time, and then they're repeating again and again and again. So they're just adjusting the back part of your, um, like, yeah, the back part of your spine and the upper shoulder. So they're just like releasing that. So yeah, and they're just saying like this ends with you. Like you're not on the bus, and you came here to remember. You came here to remember who you are. And then it was like a intense system that was around you, a busload. It's like a busload that were basically regurgitating the same system, and then you're here to awaken out of that system, if you choose. But they're saying you right now you can just release it. You can release it, release it, release it, release it, release it. And then the body, the body, the body, the body. And they're just saying you can release it. Clearing, clearing, clearing. So Juanita came to remember. She's not here to repeat the lie. And the recursion ends with her. And then she came to awaken. And they're just holding a still point for your heart just to help resonate with that, like, and good. They're saying it will feel bittersweet. It's like you're so used to having that busload around you, but it was not for your highest and greatest good. Mm. Yeah. And then they're just saying, like, really, you can just let go, like, just let them all go and let go. And then release, 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 release. Yeah, you're going to feel like a new person, which is not a new person, you're a real person, you know, without all the interference, without all of the fog, you know, without all of the negative chatter, without all of the interference. So will it make your life financially better? Yeah, that's kind of one of the main ways is the way they block you though, is they block you from being financially independent. So then you are dependent and then kind of downtrodden and then you're easier to control. So that's been cleared. So this is a karmic completion for Juanita. Yeah. And it could feel sad. It does feel sad actually, because it was a lot of interference, a whole busload. And then just surrender everything to source, everyone to source. And they're saying anything that brings that spontaneity feeling, that spontaneous, like, I like this, I want to do this, you know, like that, they're saying that's the higher self, like that's your true essence, that's your true self. And then that's what that what has been released, that was the blockage, that is what they were blocking. So, and they're saying yes, yes, yes to all of it. So yes to more money, yes to your art class, and yes to the dog psychology class, and then and yes to selling items online. They're saying yes, yes, yes. And then now you're going to have some spaciousness around you that you've never had in this life. It looks like they're saying definitely you have not had any of this space around you because you had this busload of people not for your highest and greatest good around you constantly. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's just check the chat for Juanita. Juanita says that resonates. And then Senija says, that's so great, Juanita. Lots of love to you, with like hearts with stars and then double hearts, double hearts. So thank you. That's so nice, right? That's a very 5D community, right? We're here to build a community. We're here to mirror each other and to help connecting to our higher selves and to source consciousness together is much more powerful. We can do all of this by ourselves, but it's also powerful to do it together. So just clearing for Juanita. Oof. They're like a purification of water is going to come in for you. They're saying, so drinking water, Yeah, they're saying a purification with water. Yeah. And then 100%. 100%. Thank you. And then Juanita says thanks, and she says yes, yes, yes. Okay, beautiful. I'm gonna send you some hearts, Juanita. It's huge, huge. We have to see it first, you know. We have to ask the question. Yeah, Juanita said, I'll take a shower. Yeah, actually, that would be really good. You know, just really like wash them all away. You had a huge number, like a whole busload of interference around you all the time. And then Juanita said, and with the intent of clearing, yeah, and surrendering. Yeah, yeah. They're like surrender, just like leave it, you know, leave it to your higher self and source. Just surrender it all. Surrender it all, surrender it all, surrender it all. Like a really, it like they all with 3D works like in an inversion. They always make everything the opposite. You know, so this wasn't a busload of helpers, it was a busload of interference, you know, that was basically around Juanita all the time. And then block. So the inversion, spontaneity sounds great, right? But in 3D, it's the inversion. So that's 3D, but then we surrender it to source. And then that's really when things start shifting because it's no longer my will, it's thy will. And then we release and we surrender, you know, and then that's when source can go into, you know, timelines, dimensions, space, realities with your higher self, only source aligned. So, and then they're basically saying this ends with you. And then, you know, you're not here, like you came here to awaken out of that system, you know, to awaken from within because you're outside of the bus. So you were never an insider, you were always an outsider. And then Juanita says surrendering, cleanse, refresh. Thank you. And she did my hand, Leonor says that's nice. Thanks, Juanita. And then Juanita sends emoji, smiley heart eyes, and then 4 pink hearts. Beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to send you some hearts back. I can feel it. It's very touching, this release. I feel all of them, but it is very touching because it was an immense amount of, like a horrific amount of interference around you constantly. So imagine like a bus load. But anyways, what I'm being shown is they're all put on a bus and they're being shipped out, and Juanita is outside of the bus. So, and then basically like Juanita is standing there like, you know, surrendering, like, and they're like all gone basically. So just going to help your body a bit in terms of activating the divine masculine, because the divine masculine, the left side of the body, then can actually help you go into action. So, but the surrendering always comes first, and then the clearing, and then surrendering, and then, you know, we can go into action. And then that's when the divine masculine inside of us on the left side of the body can really help anchor. So we want to bring in Source's golden light for Juanita. And then bringing in energy healing and clearing only from source and only source aligned. And sealing the space and the healing with source's golden light. And then right to the root cause, right to the very first incarnation. Sorry if I bumped my mic. And then holding it basically in the heart. And then just holding alignment together with Juanita, just holding it together, like holding it together. And then just clearing. And then hold. Good. 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 Nice. Thanks, Juanita. So we'll close for Juanita. So close all timelines, realities, dimensions, spaces, and then sealing everything with sources, golden light. Good. Thank you. Helen's here. She says, hi, Juanita, Elaine, and Senija with a pink waving heart. Nice. And Senija says, hi, Helen. And star emoji face, smiley face with double pink hearts. So beautiful. And then Juanita says hi as well. So I'll send you guys all some love. Thank you for being here. And then yeah, I feel like it was like we landed on such a touching question, like clearing interference of like a busload that is around. It's like so profound. Amazing. And they're saying, like for Senija, they're showing her like on wheels, basically like, driving through obedience. Like that's what was blocking the second energy center, the sacral. And then they're seeing her like basically with new wheels, just like driving through. Like, they're only powerful in the shadows, as soon as like sources golden light comes on, it's like nothing can hide. So, and Juanita says, have a blessed day. Thank you, Juanita, you too. And then Juanita says, imagine us all needing that clearing. Yeah, because that's typical 3D, you know? It's like, yeah, it would be, we wonder how come things are so difficult, but, because we think, oh, well, it's like this or that, but it's a busload of interference around. Yeah. And then Juanita says, I wish for us all to feel love today. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I had just one question that I missed from Senija. Let's take a look before we wrap up. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so Senija. Let's take a look. Senija is asking, this morning I had a dream of having very long hair to my knees. And what does that mean? So Senija 1973, she, her. So Senija had a dream this morning. So usually if you remember the dream, I call them not dreams. Well, they are dreams. They seem like they're dreams, but they're actually messages from your higher self because you wouldn't remember them. So you're remembering them for a reason. So Senija had a dream that she had very long hair to her knees. And what does that mean? Okay, let's take a look. Okay, they're saying like what's really funny is like Senija has really long hair, like probably where like to your waist or something. Like Senija has gorgeous hair. It's like literally down to her waist. Like it's like totally gorgeous. It's like so long. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh, okay, so they're just saying they're just saying that, so say your hair is to your waist, and then your hair has grown to your knees. So your antenna, in terms of like your frequency and receiving information, like having a clear frequency, grew like that much, like the waist to the knees, like a big chunk. So basically, you've awakened, activated, opened like a big chunk. So you'll have more access now to yourself, like to your source consciousness with your higher self. So that's great, Senija. They're saying like you just it's like an acceleration. You received an acceleration. That's what they're saying. Yeah, I'm getting the celebration emojis, and it is exactly 100%. It is a celebration. So they're saying that they wanted to show that it's like a good chunk, like so say Sinija's hair hits her waist, from the waist to the knees, to say it's like that much, then Sinija's received like an acceleration, because the hair is like an antenna. An antenna receives frequency and information. So they're saying that Senija is going to have access to more information, and she's more attuned. Like the, the same image of the trees. Now there's the sky in between the trees. It's not all like all closed up, basically. Okay, so that expression, they're saying Senija will be able to see um what's that expression? They're saying like the forest through the trees, or so you'll be able to actually see the pathway and not just kind of like all the trees in the forest. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, can see the forest through the trees. So they'll be like not so like closed up. There'll be like a spaciousness in between. So it was an acceleration, but they said they wanted to show it to you because to show that it is a big chunk of an acceleration. So it would be like a congratulations. Yeah, they're saying it would be like a congratulations. So good job. So lots of love. Okay. Senija says, amazing. Thank you, Elaine. Exclamation marks. Awesome. Yeah, it's really good, Senija. So, because you've been working so hard, Senija has, I think you've done all of the decrees, and being honest about like it's not easy, and everything that has come up with every decree, and then all the 3 and 40 interference, it's like very frightening. And then, but Senija has persevered. And then they're saying like, this one, the Voodoo Doll Spells decree, is the one that created a big shift. So you never know. It's kind of like, sometimes I describe it as like peeling an onion, to get to the core, or, like they're saying, it's like statues where you have a chunk of marble and then you just start chipping away at the marble. And then that's apparently how Michelangelo's David was revealed. It wasn't like created, but revealed. Um, they're saying kind of like that Sinija's been chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, not knowing if this was going anywhere, not knowing, if this is going to work, just being committed, just doing it, right? So like with the intention to end suffering, to awaken to consciousness, to awaken to who you are. And then, the decrees create a clear mirror, like, and saying it with your voice, like your voice is commanding time, space, dimensions, realities. So good job. Sunija says yes to all of them. Yeah, so Sunija says yes, she has done all 21 decrees. That's amazing. That is really amazing. And then Senija says, there was interference doing this one. Yeah, I was extremely tired, as if someone sucked out the energy from me and a very heavy feeling. Yeah, almost getting you to be like, you don't really have the energy to do this. But imagine that is what has been in your system, right? That has been in your system interfering. That and that tiredness, the weighing you down, like as soon as you're activating in consciousness, that tiredness and like weighing you down. And I love that, so I'm getting hearts, thank you. I love that your bowl that you've been burning all of these 21 decrees in clean, like became clear and cleaned with this last one. So that is also, I would say like your higher self, like actually giving you like a physical message, just like your dream. Your dream was an acceleration of your consciousness and then basically like a big chunk of activation. Because you get yourself back in a way. You always had yourself, but then there's always this interference. And then now you have yourself back without the interference. Whew. Yeah, and being tired, that is really good feedback for the decrees. Yeah, it's amazing, It's it's amazing what one piece of paper can do. And Sunija says she was very surprised seeing the clear bowl. Yeah, absolutely. Like that's like, you know, how does that happen? It's not like you're cleaning already, had accelerated and you're like a super amazing cleaner. You've been cleaning your bowl the way you always clean your bowl, but this time it everything became clear. And we never know, like, which, when you're kind of like an artist and you're chiseling, the marble and you're not knowing really totally what you're going to create, but you know that your intention is to know who you are, to connect to your heart, to connect to source, to connect to your higher self, only source aligned. And then wanting the interference and the purification of everything not source out of your field. And that voodoo doll spells decree, when it came through, I knew it was going to be powerful, because obviously it is powerful. Because 1500 they have found, and they're what, like thousands of years old, and they were perfectly preserved. You know, metal needles still intact through the eyes, through the throat, through the heart, through the hands bound, the hands, feet, the feet bound, the hands bound like this behind the back. That's what the dolls look like. That's how it's described. And then they had this piece of paper saying, like what the spell is. Such a bunch of stinkers. But that's how weak they are, that they have to control other people so much because they're so weak. We have to remember they do seem powerful, but as soon as we see it and we name it and we revoke it and we bring in source, it's like, something that has been on our tail, like interfering in our system for maybe thousands of timelines. We don't know, or one or two or three, doesn't matter. Even one timeline is enough. And then once it gets cleared, it's like, and we have our direct connection to source without interference. And then Senija says, by the way, I bought a rue plant. Thank you for that too. Yes, thank you, Senija. So this is a rue plant right here. And then that one too. I have like one, two, three, there's four, five, six. I have six. A lot happens in this space, so I need a lot of backup. And then remember, like Helen told us, Helen has a cat, and that rue is actually toxic to cats and probably dogs, and then probably children. I always think children, dogs, cats. So always check to see if they're poisonous for your loved ones, cats, dogs, and children. And then what Helen has done is she has a rue candle, I think, that she burns. And they also have, I found rue incense, like rue incense that has a combination, I think, with frankincense, rue, and maybe rose. I can't remember, but I did find incense. I was just seeing if I have it on my shelf, but I don't have it close by. So that's great. So rue has been used for 2000 years as a holding of frequency, and the same with sage and cedar and hyssop, HYSSOP. Oh, it's so interesting. I hear a very high frequency, a tuning, like a tuning fork. So yeah, they're just clearing. Good job. They're like, this is really good. You know, that's what being a light worker is, you know, like saying, this is what's happening, you know, in my life or in my field. And then let's look into it, you know, let's investigate. Let's get to the root cause, right? And then we're going in any timeline necessary. But it always is to benefit you in the present body, in the present life, in your present life now, in this present body. And then, so let's connect to source consciousness, the golden light of source, and then just bring in the golden light of source for, let's close for Senija. So Senija's field is closed. And that acknowledging that we came here to remember, we came here to remember who we are. And we came to awaken from within. That was what the high frequency, that was what they were bringing through. And in this work, there's no portal jumpers, there's no interference, because we're claiming this space in Source's name. And we're claiming this session in Source's name. And then our higher selves are our most secure, because our higher selves are totally for our highest and greatest good. And then we always say only Source aligned, because we don't want any false kind of, they're saying like interlopers or false pretenders, like what people or entities pretending to be our higher selves. So that's why we're always testing the channel. Is this my higher self? And is this only source aligned? Ooh. Clear, 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 clear. This is a celebration. We've been working hard in these lives, and both Senija and Juanita had huge shifts, you know, and thank you, Helen, for being on the chat too, supporting, you know, holding the field. And then everyone else watching, you know, we're clearing. Good. So closing for Senija. Only source aligned. And then sealing it with Source's golden light. Great. Good job. Good job. Both of you. Good questions. See how much we can do with questions? It's amazing. And that's the power of questions, because you're basically, that is, as soon as you're asking questions, you're coming out at 3D. You can't be in 3D and ask questions, because 3D is designed for you not to question. All right. Good job. So Senija says, thank you so much for today, and all of for your love and service. Amazing. So for angel hearts, for yellow hearts, and for pink hearts on fire. Yeah, thank you, Senija, and your dedication. So the next decree that's coming out is part 22, and it is the identity theft decree. And it will be published. Oops, one of my selenite crystals just fell. And it will be published on the 8th of August, 2026 on Saturday. So Yeah. Have a good day. Thank you for being here. And we'll end here. And Helen says, thanks, Elaine. And I say thank you to Helen. And I'm going to send you all love and thank you everyone for watching. And then maybe next time you'll want to join the chat and ask questions. So we'll see you in the next one. We'll see you on Tuesdays and hopefully this new change of time. So I'm going to do Tuesday and Thursday at 11:11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. So sending lots of love and we'll end here. Always your own discernment is the most important. You're the most important in connecting to your own higher self, only source aligned, and then to source consciousness, the big umbrella, right? Through the heart, where we work through the heart.